Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name is Cody Bills, this is Logan Burgess. Today we had the market moving higher here with corn for September trading up 7 cents, soybeans for September up 15 1/4, and wheat in Chicago trading up 15 1/4 cents here. One interesting piece of news that came out across the news wires this morning was in regards to European milling wheat. Yep. It looks as though there are talks about possibly raising the quality specifications at 2 delivery locations. The implications here is that that really the amount of wheat that's in Europe right now, which has been suffering in terms of quality due to a significant amount of rain during harvest, is not going to necessarily be deliverable here to these facilities. Right. And that's moving this wheat contract higher in Europe. Of course, in the U.S., we seem to benefit from that today. Yep. Do you think that that's sustainable? Do you think that we'll continue to move higher here for wheat?
I think it has a chance to continue to support the U.S. wheat market. Here in the U.S., we do have a large amount of milling quality wheat that we are now able to export. And the idea with this French story is that if the EU is not able to fulfill some of these forward contracts, the U.S. may be able to step in and provide some of that wheat. So that seemed to be helping out the U.S. market here today. Definitely didn't hurt the corn market that we saw wheat trading sharply higher, up about 5% on the week. And if we take a look at today's ethanol number, you can see that it was off sharply compared to last year. But the big thing to take away when you're looking at this chart is that seasonally we're still seeing very strong ethanol production. And by most analyst estimates, right now we're 10 to 20 million bushels ahead of pace to meet the USDA's current ethanol estimate. We'll have to see if we get a revision of that estimate on Tuesday in the USDA WASDE report. But like I said, week over week here, we did see a sizable decrease in ethanol. But when looking at the big picture, still some good things for the corn bulls to get excited about here.
Absolutely. Another very interesting piece of news that came across the news wires, more of this geopolitical, basically conflict between Russia and the Western states. We had Russia and Putin issuing a decree to limit or stop all imports from countries that sanctioned it over the politics in Ukraine. Right. How is that going to affect the U.S. market here? Why did we rally on that news?
You know, I don't necessarily think that today's rally was on the back of that news. If you look at imports in Russia of U.S. agricultural products, specifically the grains, Russia did not import any wheat, any corn during the last marketing year. They did take about 8 cargoes of U.S. soybeans, but if you look at that as a percentage of total soybean exports for the current marketing year, it's about 1%. So not a huge story there that I think would severely limit grain prices here in the U.S. Soybeans had a very strong day today once again, and not once again, but bouncing back a little bit from yesterday's action. You can see here on the daily chart of the November contract, we're really pounding out a pretty good bottom here right now around 1060. Top side of this trade range lies around 1115, and I guess in an environment here where the trade is concerned about soybeans during pod fill over the next couple weeks and an uncertainty about the USDA yield number next Tuesday, wouldn't be surprised if we were able to drift a little bit higher here on the November contract until we get those numbers on Tuesday from the USDA, and then until we see how August wraps up here in terms of precipitation. As we've talked about a little bit this week here on GrainTV, certainly some areas of the Western Corn Belt right now that are receiving sub-par precipitation, and from talking to producers here in the office, sounds like a lot of places out there could use a drink right now as soybeans are trying to fill those pods.
Absolutely. It looks as though we're getting a little bit of precipitation this week, and we'll see exactly how much here in the days to come. Keep an eye on export sales. They'll be announced out here tomorrow. Yep. Wheat expectations between 600 and 800,000 metric tons. When you look at corn and soybeans for old crop, between 100 and 200,000 metric tons expected there. When you look at corn for new crop, in between about 800 to 1 million metric tons. Right. And then for soybeans, we're looking at between 1 to 1.2 million metric tons for the new crop. So those are the expectations there. Now, also, just to give you a little bit of an announcement here, we did have a webinar that talked about some of the key growing items here when we're looking at the weather, both weather during harvest and weather during the second half of the growing season. Yeah. We also we covered some very interesting topics on production and some expectations here for the WASDE report coming up, and some transportation issues. So if you're interested in viewing that webinar, give us an email here at support support@grainhedge.com. Other than that, that wraps up today's show. If you have any questions, give us a call at 877-472-4607. And remember to go ahead and take a demo of our mobile trading platform at grainhedge.com. Just put your name up there. You can feel what it's like to trade on your mobile platform and on your desktop at home. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you here Thursday.